Okay, so in class, we talked about two different measures, the measures of central tendency and the measures of variation. Now, the measures of central tendency, we're just talking about what does my data look like in the center. So if I have some sort of data, if I graphed it and I had something that looked like that, what is the most typical value? And the way that we were able to describe that or quantify it is using the mean, the median, and the mode. Further, we were able to talk about the mean and the median in terms of skewness. So if we had skewed data, how does that affect the mean? Where exactly is the mean and where is the median when we had this different types of data? So measures of central tendency, just look at the center. Measures of variation, talk about the entire graph and like how spread apart they are. So we're talking about spread. Here we're talking about center. So are they really, really far away? Are my data points really far away, or are they really close together? Like where exactly are my data points? Okay, so that's what we were basically talking about, and we can describe them using the range and the standard deviation. Okay, so there's one last type of measure, and that's what we call the measure of location and relative standing. So basically what that is just a measure of where a data value stands relative to the distribution of the whole data set. So if I had a couple set of numbers, like let's say 1, 3, 4, 8, and 10, okay? So let's say we had something that looked like that. If I was looking at this number 3, where exactly does this 3 stand relative to every other number? Okay, so where is this 3? And the way that we can describe this 3 is using percentiles and quartiles and z-scores. Okay, so in this video, I'm only going to talk about percentiles and quartiles. So then later on, we'll talk about box plots and then we'll talk about z-scores. Okay, so what a percentile is, okay, a percentile is just a number that describes the bottom p% of the data from the top 100 minus p% of the data. So if percentiles were labeled as the letter P, okay, this is a pretty color, okay? So basically, if I was looking at maybe the 70th percentile, okay, so let's say this is my percentile, 70th. Basically, what that means is that let's say this was the minimum value and let's say this is the maximum value. 70% of the data is going to lie below the 70th percentile, whatever this number is, and then it's also going to break up the top 100 minus p, which is 100 minus 70, which gives me 30%. So that's basically what a percentile is. A percentile just breaks up the bottom half of the data from the top half of the data. Now, bottom half and top half, that was the median. This is just 70th percentile, that's just that. We're separating 70% below, 30% above. That's basically all it is. Okay, so for example, this number 4 would be 50% of it is below, 50% of it is above. Okay, but what would this 8 represent? Is this 8 going to represent 75%? What exactly is that? So we'll talk about percentiles a little bit later, but right now what I really want to focus on is quartiles, because quartiles we are going to use a lot. Okay, so basically what a quartile is, it just separates the data into fourths. So if I had my data, let's say this is my minimum value and this is my maximum value, my quartiles are just going to separate everything into 4 equal parts. So between the minimum and the maximum value, there should be a middle value, okay? We're going to call this the second quartile, okay? Which is actually my median. Now, between the minimum value and my Q2, my second quartile, there's going to be another quartile, which is going to call Q1. And then between Q2 and the maximum, there's going to be another number we're going to call that Q3. This is what we call my quartiles. The first quartile, the second one, and the third one. Okay, so these are my quartiles. So we're separating all my data into fourths. So that means that you have 25% here, 25%, 25%, and another 25%. Okay, now let's go ahead and do an example. I wrote down here a couple steps on how to find the quartiles. So the first thing that you want to do is arrange your data and then find the median. Your median is going to be your second quartile. Then divide it into two different halves. If the number of observations is odd, exclude the median in both halves. Okay, if it's even, then you don't need to do anything because it's already going to be split. Then find the median of both halves. Bottom median will be Q1, top median will be Q3. So very, very simple way to solve this problem. Okay, so let's find the quartiles. So let's first start by arranging the data. So I'm going to start off with a number 1. Okay, then after that, I have another one. I have 2 2s. I have 2 3s. I have 2 4s. And I have 1 5. Okay, so this is what my data arranged look like. What I want to figure out now is find the second quartile. So in other words, I'm going to find the median. So my median in this case is going to be what? So it's not going to be this or this, this or this, this or this, this or this. It's going to be this. So Q2, which is my median, okay, so take note that the median is also equal to the second quartile. It's equal to 3, okay? So that's what my Q2 stands for, is. Okay, now what we're going to do, we're going to break up the bottom half of the data, 1, 1, 2, and 2. This is going to be my bottom half, okay, from my top half, which is in this case, the top half is going to be 3, 4, 4, and 5. Now this 3, because the data set is odd, we're going to exclude the median. Okay, so my bottom half, this is going to be Q1, this is going to be Q3. Okay, so Q1 is going to be the median between these two numbers. So remember when we were talking about medians and we had an even number of data data points, we're going to go ahead and take the average between the two. This is just going to give me 1.5. Okay, my other one, I'm going to just take 4 and 4 divided by 2. This is going to give me 8 divided by 2, which gives me 4. Okay, so these are my quartiles, 1.5, 3, and 4. Okay, now your calculator can also do it for you. You can go ahead and follow the same directions as the sheet that I gave you guys of how to find the mean and the standard deviation. If you keep scrolling down, you'll be able to see Q1, median, and Q3. So it should also do it for you. Okay.